I still remember the way the Georgia sun looked that morning, thick and golden, spilling through the stained glass windows of St. James Episcopal like it had been hired just for Emily's wedding. Everything was perfect on paper. 300 white peonies flown in from Ecuador, a string quartet playing vitamin string quartet covers of Taylor Swift, the groom's family from old Savannah money smiling like they'd never lost a dime in their lives. I was in the bride's cottage at the back of the church, fussing with the 24 buttons down the back of Emily's dress, when she turned around and said the words that split my world in half. "Mom, don't come." Just like that. No tears, no tremor, just flat and final. The way you tell the pest control guy you've changed your mind about the appointment. I laughed at first because that's what you do when the floor drops out from under you. "Sweetheart, very funny. We have to be at the altar in 12 minutes. She stepped back, the cathedral train pooling around her like spilled milk. "I'm serious, Mom. I don't want you there when I walk down the aisle." The air conditioning hummed. Somewhere outside, a photographer was yelling for the flower girls. My hands went numb holding the mother of the bride corsage the florist had pinned together with baby's breath and tiny pearls. "Emily, honey, talk to me. Did I do something?" She looked at me with those green eyes she got from her daddy, God rest him, and said, "You did everything, Mom. That's the problem." Then she turned to her maid of honor, a sorority sister named Kaylee who'd never liked me, and said, "Can you give us a minute?" Kaylee practically sprinted out, overjoyed to carry the drama back to the bridal suite. Emily waited until the door clicked. I'm 26 years old and I'm still trying to crawl out from under the shadow of St. Jessica Harrington, perfect widow, perfect mom, perfect everything. Today is supposed to be about me and Connor, not about you crying pretty tears in the front pew so everyone can whisper how brave you've been since Dad died. I felt the words land like slaps. 10 years of PTA presidentships, chemo dives, homemade casseroles after every hurricane, and this was my thank you? I managed to whisper, "I was proud of you, Em. That's all." "You were proud of your version of me," she said, "and I'm tired of performing it." She kissed my cheek, cold, dutiful, then walked out in a rustle of silk and finality. The door shut. I stood there holding a corsage that suddenly felt radioactive. I don't know how long I stayed frozen. Long enough for the organ to start the prelude, long enough for the ushers to begin seating guests. My phone buzzed in my clutch. I thought it was the wedding planner asking where the hell I was. I ignored it. I slipped out the side door like a thief. The August heat hit me like a wet towel. I walked across the gravel parking lot in 4-inch heels, not caring that the dye was bleeding into the satin. My Lincoln was the only car left under the live oak. Everyone else was inside watching my daughter marry without me. I sat behind the wheel with the AC blasting and finally played the voicemail that had come in while Emily was busy gutting me. "Mom," Emily's voice, low and rushed, like she was cupping the phone. "If you're listening to this, it means I actually went through with telling you not to come. God, I'm shaking. I need you to know it isn't what you think. There's something I have to do today, something bigger than the wedding, and if you're sitting in that church, you'll try to stop me. Just trust me one last time. I love you. I'll explain everything tonight. Don't hate me." The message ended with a click. I played it again. And again. My daughter's voice cracked on the word trust like she was 12 years old asking me to let her go to the beach with friends I didn't know. I should have stormed back inside, found her, dragged her out by that $10,000 veil. Instead, I sat there trying to decode what the hell something bigger than the wedding could possibly be. Connor's family had money, yes, but old money, conservative, the kind that still said colored when they thought no one was listening. Emily had been weird for months, canceled dress fittings, secret phone calls, crying in the shower. I'd chalked it up to nerves. Now every alarm bell I owned was screaming. I called her. Straight to voicemail. I texted, "I'm in the car. Talk to me." Nothing. The organ inside swelled into Canon in D. Through the stained glass, I could see silhouettes moving. The bridesmaids were lining up. I don't know what possessed me, maybe the same instinct that made me drive through the night when she had appendicitis at 14, but I grabbed my phone, opened the Find My app, and saw the little blue dot that was Emily's phone. It wasn't in the bride's room anymore. It was moving, fast, down Abercorn Street toward downtown. I threw the Lincoln into drive and peeled out, pearls scattering across the passenger seat like hail. My route she was taking made no sense. Away from the reception venue, away from the historic district, straight into the industrial corridors near the port. My daughter in a wedding dress speeding God knows where on her wedding day. I hit 90 on the Truman Parkway, veil flapping out the sunroof like a surrender flag. My phone kept buzzing. The wedding planner, Connor's mom, my sister. I ignored them all. 20 minutes later, the blue dot stopped at a rundown storage facility off Louisville Road. The kind of place that rents to people hiding from warrants. I pulled up to the gate just in time to see a white Rolls-Royce Phantom, the one Connor's daddy had bragged about, idling outside Unit 217. Emily stood next to it, in her full wedding dress, veil and all, talking to a man I didn't recognize. Mid-30s, cheap suit, nervous eyes. He kept checking his watch. I killed the engine and got out. "Emily Rose Harrington?" She spun around. For the first time all day, she looked terrified. The man took one look at me and bolted back inside the unit. "Mom, you weren't supposed to... What in the hell is going on?" I was walking toward her, voice shaking with 10 years of grief and fear and love I never knew how to say right. "You ditched your own wedding for a storage unit in the bad part of town?" She glanced at the rolls. Connor was in the driver's seat, still in his tux, face white as the gardenias on her bouquet. Emily took a step toward me. "Mom, listen." "No, you listen." I was crying now, mascara running like war paint. "I have done everything for you, everything, and you humiliate me on the holiest day of... I'm giving the money back." The world went quiet except for the buzz of the storage facility lights. She took a shaky breath. Connor's trust fund. $22 million that was supposed to come to him today when we said I do. His grandfather made his money running sweatshops in Bangladesh in the 90s. Kids, Mom. 8-year-olds working 16-hour days. Connor found the records last year. He's been trying to give it away ever since, but the trust has this stupid marriage clause. If he's not married by 28, the money reverts to his uncle who'll just do it again. I stared at my daughter. In Vera Wang and combat boots she must have changed into, holding a manila folder thick as a phone book. The plan was, we get married, the trust releases, then we immediately transfer every penny to the families who were exploited. Anonymously. We hired a forensic accountant. He's here with the wire instructions. But if anyone from Connor's family sees the money move today, they'll know. That's why I couldn't have you in the church crying and drawing attention. They watch you, Mom. Everyone watches you. I looked at Connor. He lifted a hand in a small, ashamed wave. Emily's eyes filled. "I didn't want you to think your daughter threw away her future for nothing. I needed you to hate me for one day so I could do the right thing without you trying to fix it." The accountant cleared his throat. "We have to initiate the transfer in the next 8 minutes or the international banks close." Emily reached for my hand. "I'm still getting married. Just not for the reasons everyone thinks, and not in a church that was built with cotton money." I looked at my little girl, my furious, impossible, brave little girl, and felt something break open in my chest that had been soldered shut since the night her daddy's heart stopped in the Ingalls parking lot. I pulled her into my arms, wedding dress and all, and whispered into her veil, "Take me with you." We did the wire transfer in a storage unit that smelled of mildew and redemption. $22 million scattered across 3 continents to people who'd waited 30 years for justice. Afterwards, Connor drove us in the Rolls to Forsyth Park. The three of us stood under the fountain while a street preacher who'd clearly been paid in advance pronounced them husband and wife. I was the only guest. Emily's veil was crooked, her train was filthy, and she had never looked more beautiful. When they kissed, I didn't cry pretty tears. I sobbed like a woman who just learned her daughter surpassed her in every way that matters. Later that night, back at the house that still smelled like the gardenias I never got to carry, Emily curled up on the couch in Connor's tuxedo jacket and said, "I'm sorry I hurt you today." I brushed the dried mud from her hem. "Baby, you didn't hurt me. You set me free. I spent 10 years trying to be perfect so you'd never have to feel pain. Turns out, all you needed was for me to get out of your way long enough to change the world." She laughed through tears. "You still looked better crying in the parking lot than I did in the cathedral." That's